Moscow has been trying to actively influence the political situation in Africa for the past few decades. The Soviet Union used the continent to expand the communist camp, while Putin's Russia has used it for cheap resources and political benefits. This latter has become especially important for the Kremlin since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. After all, Africa is a quarter of the United Nations vote. Therefore, Moscow actively looks for the support of the states in the region, and in some cases, such as South Africa, it finds it.
Lavrov repeated well-known Russian lies, namely that the war supposedly is a defense against a Russophobic and fascist Ukraine supported by the West, and that it would serve to save civilians and to stop direct threats to Russia's securities at its borders. To this cynical caricature, he added the false claim that Europe and its partners are pushing for a military solution to the war, preventing diplomatic efforts. From the blog by Josep Borrell, High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, on the website of the Diplomatic Service of the European Union.
However, Moscow is far from succeeding everywhere. This became especially evident during Sergei Lavrov's previous tour. At that time, two countries refused to host the Russian minister. This was stated by the head of the Ukrainian diplomacy, Dmytro Kuleba. He did not say which countries he was referring to. However, it is known that the planned visit to Botswana did not take place for some reason. In addition, Ghana and Mauritania are extremely unhappy with the activities of the odious Wagner private military company in the region. All this points to the decline of Moscow's influence on the continent.
This is, in principle, a signal. Yesterday it seems that Russia unconditionally dominates Africa, doors open everywhere and everyone welcomes them with open arms. And then suddenly there are problems. Well, such is life. There are problems not only on the battlefield, but also on the diplomatic front. Dmytro Kuleba, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, in an interview with BBC.
In its attempts to gain international support, Moscow is not afraid to use even the lowest methods. For example, because of deliberate delays in ship inspections, the grain corridor from Ukraine delivered a quarter of the planned food supplies to the needy countries, and the Kremlin is trying to shift the blame for this to Ukraine. BBC investigators discovered a massive PR campaign to discredit Kiev in French-speaking African countries. By the way, in addition to Lavrov, Alexander Lukashenko also went to the continent. He presented a tractor to the president of Zimbabwe. According to experts, Russia needs all this just to maintain the illusion of leadership.
Russia has this rosy dream that keeps it going, to become something parallel to the United States of America and unite this global south, the countries of Africa, the countries of Asia, and together with them that it would be such a bloc as a counterbalance to the Western world. Of course, it is working for its domestic consumer, to show that sanctions are not working, that Western isolationism is not working, but that is not the case. We can clearly see the results. We know that it all works. If it were not working, Russia would not be so desperate to find partners in other parts of the world.
While Russia is reducing its position in Africa, Ukraine is strengthening cooperation with the continent. Kiev has worked out a strategy for developing relations with African states. The head of Ukrainian diplomacy, Dmytro Kuleba, visited 5 countries of the region, and African heads of state had 18 phone conversations with President Volodymyr Zelensky. Reported by Roman Smoler, Danilo Kobza, UATV News.